The board flips. The episode begins in the shadow of the Battle of the Gullet. Team Black has survived the sea fight, but the cost is personal. Jace is gone, Driftmark is wounded, and Rhaenyra is not walking into victory as a clean liberator. She is walking into the capital with grief sitting beside her like a second crown. Alicent's surrender gambit. Alicent's plan matters because it turns the fall of King's Landing from a military conquest into a private collapse. She tries to move Helaena out, lean on Luther Largent, and make the city hand itself over before Aemond can burn the board. That is smart politics, but it also means Alicent is bargaining with the lives of her own side. The City Watch chooses memory. The most important tactical detail is the gold cloaks. The capital does not fall because every gate is smashed. It falls because parts of the city remember Daemon, because the greens are hollowed out, and because Aemond has been pulled away from the place where Vhagar matters most. Otto becomes the price. The execution of Otto Hightower is the point where the episode stops being about whether Rhaenyra can take power and starts being about whether power will keep any part of her intact. The show uses Otto as a moral threshold. She can sit the throne, but she cannot pretend this is still a clean claim blessed by history. What the whim means. The final image is not peace. It is custody, humiliation, and a capital that has changed flags faster than it has changed loyalties. That makes Episode 2 less a coronation than a stress test. Rhaenyra has King's Landing. The question now is whether she can hold a city that watched her arrive through blood. Why the timing is brutal. The show places this conquest immediately after a grief event, and that timing is the whole engine. A calmer Rhaenyra might have entered the city as a claimant correcting a political crime. This Rhaenyra enters as a mother whose son has been taken by the war she kept trying to frame as lawful. That makes every choice sharper, and it makes the execution feel less like a policy decision than a wound becoming government. What the city actually sees. For the small folk of King's Landing, none of the legal argument matters first. They see banners change, soldiers move, prisoners dragged out, and a queen making blood visible at the center of power. The show is reminding us that legitimacy is not only inherited, it is performed in public, and Rhaenyra's first performance is frightening. A victory with no clean witnesses. Notice how many people in the room are compromised. Alicent enabled the opening. Daemon enforces the temperature. Helaena is an innocent trapped inside dynastic punishment. Otto is guilty but also old, cornered, and no longer the mastermind he once was. The scene denies us a simple revenge release. The Daemon problem. Daemon is useful because he understands force, but that usefulness is exactly the danger. In a fragile capital, he can secure rooms faster than he can secure loyalty. Rhaenyra needs his decisiveness, yet the more he defines her first day, the more her reign begins to look like conquest instead of restoration. Book context without future spoilers. Fire and Blood often gives the fall of King's Landing as a historical shift. The show has to dramatize an inner cost. That is why it leans on faces, hesitation, and the physical awkwardness of killing. It is not just asking what happened. It is asking what version of Rhaenyra could survive doing it. The political bill comes next. Once the throne is taken, the glamorous part is over. The city needs food, order, messaging, and a story that can make sense of Otto's death. If Rhaenyra cannot turn shock into governance quickly, the capital becomes a hostage instead of an asset. Final read. So the win is real, but the show refuses to score it as clean triumph. Rhaenyra has the room everyone wanted. She also has witnesses, prisoners, grief, and a first act that every enemy can turn into propaganda. That is the darker meaning of victory.